Hey, what's up, y'all? This your girl, Dizzy, the host, back here for another What You Got to Say. And I've got my wonderful co-host here. What's up, y'all?
What up?
What's up? This is Blaq. I'm super excited to be here. Hashtag that dude.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, Tyrone Greggory, the comedian. Hey, just here to push some positivity. Let's shed some light on some love.
What up? It's your girl, Cool Candice, hanging out with you. Time to chop it up.
Hey y'all, it's Kela Mahogany. I'm just here for the laughs.
All right, and that's definitely the squad that's here today for What You Got to Say. So today's topic is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So we're gonna hit up the myths versus reality about sex, the taboo with drugs, and then the stereotypes of music and how that relates to drug culture and sex culture. So where y'all want to start? We got questions, comments, concerns. Where we gonna start?
We got to start. Hold on. Before we get into this.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me just.
Well, all right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. So let's see. So basically, this subject came up last show, trying to figure out what we were going to do for the next show. And so we had a whole lot of conversation and questions with each other just on a friendship level that we were like, hold up, why are we not doing this while it's being recorded? So that, because if we got the questions, everybody got the questions.
Wow, got them.
So just want to say, the views discussed here do no way, shape, or form necessarily mean that we partake in any of the things that we discussing. We just had questions, comments, concerns. So don't come for us because we need our paychecks.
No, they can come. I don't mind. Go ahead.
Need our paychecks. So let's first talk about sex. Reality versus myth. Who's got questions? Look, this was all you, KB. You said you had questions.
I'm listening. They say that you have people that have a high sex drive stay and look young. Is that true?
Oh.
Hey, how old do I look?
I do look 15. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. I think it could depend on, maybe their kinks as well as how much, like if they're using it as a, high sex drive, exercise, young looking, needs to hydrate, drink more water. Now you look like a 12-year-old.
That's possible. But however, hold on, though. We done all seen some woe out hoes, though. So I was going to say, hey, it's some booger whoops out there getting the business. I'm trying to figure out who done went there.
Oh, wait.
Like you ain't seen a female and been like, oh, and then she got 2 kids. You like, well, who went there twice?
Wait. Please break down what's a booger whoop.
Like your face just look like you got beat up a few times and it's taken away.
Just drug down off in there. You know what I mean?
My friend calls them hood boogers. That's what my friend calls them.
Hood boogers, booger whoops, butterheads.
Butterface.
So, what do you think, Candice? What do you think, Candice? Do you think that high sex drive equals younger looking?
I've heard that maybe like there's a few things that have to go together with that, like he was saying with your exercise and drinking water and stuff. But I'm pretty sure they have to have like a high endurance to kind of keep up with whatever they're doing. Because if they're trying to go like 2 and 3 times a day, we're like,
metabolism.
The normal person who has like a busy life can't keep up with that.
Yeah.
Agree. So yes, maybe. No, maybe.
Do porn look young?
Huh?
Do porn stars look young?
They can afford plastic
from
surgery.
the back.
Oh yeah, they do get plastic surgery. You're right. A lot of
from the back.
I'm just gonna say that
they get
with all this melanin, with all this melanin that we have in our skin, we already gonna look young. Enough, if you will. But I will say that high sex drive does add to the quality of your life, to be honest, because if you are with someone and they make you feel good, you're gonna want to have, you know, as much coitus if you can, if you will. You're gonna want to have it as much as possible with this person.
Come on, SAT word.
Come on now. And then, I'm ignorant, but I'm educated. Now, you're gonna want to, you know what I'm saying, have sex often as you can, but if you are not, like Kela and like Cool said, if you're not out here exercising, eating properly, it's gonna diminish your sex drive. See, it all work together.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay, so well, hold on, because that made
it's all about your libido.
That made me lead to my next question, which I'm sure we all participated in. Yeah, stir it up.
I gotta stir up.
Smoke it up. But then, is masturbation a very good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, that's extremely
helpful. Let me consult with my let me consult with the one person that understands me the most when it comes to that. What do you think?
Okay.
I said something wrong?
No, not at all.
I cannot.
Not at all. I will say this. I will say that I think initially masturbation is to find out more about your body before everybody else find out about your body. That's what I have been taught that it is. You don't know what you like till you figure it out. Because you're going to go through some folks or folk, if you want to lie to yourself, you're going to go through some folks that's doing the wrong things, but you don't know why it's wrong. And I'm talking about from a woman. You can't tell me, Greg, you don't know. I'm saying you're going to go through a lot of wrongs and be like, oh, wait a minute, what's that? And I can almost guarantee you that the woman gonna go home and try to recreate that. Like, what made that happen? And when you start knowing yourself, I think then that's when you're able to tell your partner up, down, right, left, BA, select, start, fast or slow or whatever. Because then you find out what you like. So I feel
woman privilege, Dizzy.
I think that's
women's privilege.
That's not a privilege.
That is, no, stop, no. Because I'm just speaking from the man now. You spoke from the female part. Speaking from the man. We can't find out what we like with Pamela. We just know up, down. That's it. You got up, down, left, right, select. We got up, down. That's it.
So which one is more complicated and which one is more difficult to figure out?
Y'all.
What, a Sega Genesis or a daggone Nintendo?
Y'all with y'all damn Xbox and PlayStation controllers. That's what it is. All right? My thumbs, I know.
That's more difficult for you.
Exactly. I am old school Atari. All we got is up, down. That's it. That's what a man is. A man is.
But you know what? Okay, Greg. So I'm not a man, but I have to ask the question because I almost want to say I beg to differ. Because if all there is to you is up, down, then dudes would not be able to say that girls' sex is trash or that their head is trash.
No. See, no. We weren't talking about we were talking about masturbation.
If all that satisfies you with up and down.
We were talking about masturbation, not the sex.
Okay. So you'll allow yourself to be boring, but everybody else got to be super fantastic.
I have no choice. All I got is up, down.
You can put yourself in different positions.
I don't. Kela, listen. All that freaky shit you talking,
I don't know.
Get the fuck out of here. Putting myself in different positions. So I'm just going to bend over and be like, hell nah, Kela. Fuck out of here.
Greg. Yes, Greg. Like, put me over the couch. Let me put myself over.
Let me stroke my beard while hell no.
Whoa.
You did that a little too comfortably. What about you, Candice? What you think? I know we loud, we crazy. What about you, Candice?
I don't know. I'm thinking it allows you to find out yourself and kind of figure out what you do and don't like. But at the same time, I think it helps with your own endurance and your own drive. Because like, let's say, you do have a high sex drive and let's say your partner doesn't. Right. So essentially that could actually help your partner so that you're not busting them wide open or killing them or something. Cause you're able to handle yourself maybe earlier on in the day, and then you get home and you're ready to, you know, be with your partner or whatnot. You're not going on this long marathon and they're like, okay, I'm over it, I'm tired. So,
agreed.
That's a
agreed.
good point.
And you know what? Another thing is, and I'm so glad like I'm a part of this unit, because I think, you know, so many different aspects of our cultures, people need to hear this. And for me, I represent the person that's been saving himself for, quote, the right one and marriage and all that kind of stuff. And people that are religious and churchified, I'm so glad when they watch this, because what happens to me is I think we need to break some of these stereotypes. I feel like masturbation for me, it has to be the balance, because I'm not sexually active. So therefore, it's also a form of comfort, even though I don't believe in you doing anything overly, because you do need balance in anything that you do in life. But I think this is a certain subject, like I know when people hear me talking, like, what? Because I feel like a lot of people have anxiety even when it comes to sex. And I feel like that's why
they make it taboo for no reason. So, I mean, example, and I didn't really understand this till later, is that, so I work in the early childhood education field, and us as adults have our own views on what sex is and what sex play is. And so we have a tendency to overreach when we hear stuff like, oh, my 3-year-old was at school and had her hand or his hand inside his pants and was playing with himself. Adults, unfortunately, in the world we live in, we think the worst. Oh my God, someone must be touching my child, or he must have seen something on TV. They panic.
Yeah,
but in all actuality, if you look, developmentally appropriate behavior, this is the age of exploration for children. They're going to play with it. They're going to try to figure out what it is. They're going to ask you about yours.
It's theirs.
You know, it's theirs. So why the taboo when you become an adult?
Because we nasty.
Because we know.
We're nasty by knowledge of the fact that we know what we use it for. They don't know yet.
Right.
And put those, those views onto a child.
Yeah, and we project that onto the child, even if we're not saying it to the child,
right?
We are still in our mind projecting that, and we're then some are punishing the child. Like, no, you don't do that. Da, da, da. When the child is innocently just like, what's that?
It's mine.
Okay, Candice, what you got, Candice?
I don't believe that. I think that is America's westernized thinking.
Yes.
That's why everyone feels it's so taboo and it's so dirty and you can't do this. When you look at the sexuality of a person stateside compared to overseas, it is completely different. Different. Where we have the jet beauty of the week, she has on a swimsuit or a cute little outfit. Overseas in Germany, you'll see a whole butt-naked woman sitting on the side of a billboard, and she's very...
Hold on, Candice, I'm with you. The commercials in Germany, they be advertising fabric softener, and she in there just...
So it's true.
No, it's dead honest true.
Everyone thinking that makes, whatever you're doing completely sexualized.
Right.
Correct.
Breasts are for feeding their babies.
Right.
Not y'all, but guys in America are the ones who are looking at it as like, oh, she's got some big knockers. Oh, she's got some, some big boobs or whatever. And a woman can be sitting on a park bench trying to feed her baby, and another old lady will walk up and be like, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm feeding my baby. Go away.
Correct.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's completely natural. It's what your boobs were made for. But overseas, woman can be sitting on a park bench and not need a cover, and everybody's going to keep walking by because it's business as usual. There's nothing, sexualized about it. She's feeding her baby. Okay, cool. Move along about your day. Hey, ma'am, have a good day, and keep moving. But you're not getting that same response because everything is so sexualized. So when a person does see their kid caught them with their hand in their pants, they might have been scratching. They was playing in dirt and they got some itch or something. But, you're not going to get that same response because everything in America is so taboo, or they make it seem as you got to cover up every time. Like you can't let your kids see you because Like, no, part of growing up. It's going to happen. Your kids might walk in on you. It's embarrassing, but it's a part of life. And I think living overseas allowed me to see more and allowed me to get out of America's box thinking as far as everything being sexualized for whatever reason of whatever you're doing and anything that you decide to become a part of.
Agree.
I totally agree, but I'm a Black man. We don't call them boobs or knockers. We call them titties.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you for the update. That's great.
Yes. And I do agree, Candice, with that point of view in reference to, you know, the way Western civilization is, because and this is kind of tying into music, but about 2 years ago, there was like these videos on Facebook of kids dancing traditional African dances.
Yes,
and traditional African dances have a whole lot of hip and behind movements and winding and so on. And you had so many people that were like, oh my God, the children, what are you teaching them? And I'm like, hold on. You went straight to twerk mentality. You automatically assume, although all modern dances come from the motherland anyway. So yes, twerking is another, what is it? I guess evolving dance from what you see, but there's no sexual connotation at all for the dances that the kids were doing in the video. And
they say that about all kind of dancing that we do, because when crumping came out and everybody was doing all this, they had something to say about it, but that's like African tribal dance, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. But everybody's okay with it now because it's on Fortnite and other people are making money off of it.
Yeah.
Other people are other people.
Other people. Well, now all of us, now you can't trademark a dance when all the dances on Fortnite belong to us anyway. Oh, okay.
That
part. That's culturally based as well, though, because, you know, there's so many other cultures that do different types of dancing that incorporate hips and and shaking and gyrating. So if you're looking at, you know, Hawaiians and Samoans with their hula dancing,
Polynesians,
people
Indians do it as well.
Nobody's decided to appropriate those yet, so that's why they're not as mainstream.
And the thing about it is, you know, just to, you know, always to try to be honest, and, you know, our culture is the culture that is very creative. You know, I believe our creativity is God-given, but I think it's truly birthed out of slavery, where we had to figure out ways to be happy. And because we were figuring out ways to be happy, we would do things that were so ingenious that it would be copied. And my favorite dance company, and I still have not seen them, is Alvin Ailey. I love that dance company. I think one thing that strikes me is, I think the drugs, and I could be wrong, but now listening to this, especially I represent that church boy that's trying to break stereotypes, is that I think people go to drugs sometimes because they can't be free. Because when you think about sex and you think about money, you think about all these things, music is an expression that releases. I know that's why I love being an artist, because it's kind of like that. I always call it the Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is so phenomenal on stage, but when he gets off stage, he is like,
we don't know.
Almost, I don't want to say, I don't want to even say pitiful, not meaning pitiful, not even talking about that part. I wasn't talking about that part, meaning like Black culture, we get so invested in our gifts that we don't get invested in ourselves. I realized just recently, and I'm working on myself right now, is that the same kind of freedom that I have as Kobana Blaq, the artist, I still should have that same kind of freedom as Kobana, the person. And I realized that I'm fearful to be myself. Wow. And that's why I like this platform, because it allows me to say things about sex and masturbation. Think about I don't know about y'all, but for me, how many church people that are really saved, quote, want to love the Lord, but are so afraid to even talk about sex, masturbation, and feel like they're going to go to hell right after they say it. Yeah. So stuff like this really helps, because We need to break all those things that people have put out there. I think one of the things is balance. I think that America, man, we are some greedy.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know how to just like the toilet paper. We don't know how to take one or two. We need to take all of them. Yeah. And I think that's when I'm starting to feel that sex is almost like the drug.
Because for some people it is. Yeah. And they have mentioned that, you know, you've got people who have a sex addiction, just like they're addicted to alcohol or drugs or whatever the case may be. And sex is also an addiction for some people. We can start tying in the sex piece into the taboo with drug piece, talking about creativity. I do know that one of the questions that were asked last week was, how, if any, how do you feel that drugs, I'm just going to use weed because that's what we're going to talk about. How does weed affect sex? What does it do?
I'm going to pull a Kela and raise my hand.
Okay.
Are you calling on me? You got to
call me. Go ahead, Tyrone Greggory.
She called on me. All right, so look. For real, they both tie in together because it's two things. Sex and even like just being a creator. Like Cabana, like you're saying, like just being a creative person. And then, you know what I'm saying, drugs as well. They all have one or two links. The endorphins in your body and the release of serotonin.
Okay.
The happiness. People get addicted to that serotonin release. But you can get a serotonin release from mowing your lawn if you love to cut grass.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So it also goes back to what you said before, Cabana. It also goes back to people wanting to be happy, their happiness. And like you said, that balance. And you got to understand that some people are weird. Some people get off on the craziest things. You know what I'm saying?
But whether it be a drug or a fetish,
right?
Or
so
anything.
In my mind, and this is just Tyrone Greggory speaking his mind, my 2 cents. But it's all about those endorphins and that serotonin release, and people they get high off of that.
Literally.
Even people that smoking weed, when they get high, they get happier. You know what I'm saying? Them serotonins, everything is just ooh, boo. And they in it.
Why you laughing, Kela? Why you laughing?
Because she know she been and turned on some music in the background, been like,
That is so good. That is so good.
What do you think, Kela?
I see what, look, I don't even know which way he is. But for me, when it comes to, I'm not really into it because I like to either or. I need to pay attention to one of the two. Like I can't really, I've never really done both. And so I feel like, but I think that was when I was smoking outdoor, just regular, before it was, selling out of dispensaries and things.
Are you talking about smoking weed and sex?
Yes, like doing it together.
So you've never had sex while being high?
I have, but then for some reason I don't end up being high anymore.
Oh.
But now
adrenaline, maybe?
Hey, that just means he doing his thing.
No, but the funny thing, it might mean what you just said, because I'm about to go and research this whole serotonin, because then my mind is like almost hashtag, what is your serotonin? Maybe when she had that moment of smoking and then having sex, the sex outbeat the high, so she was able to go to what made her feel the best.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, so what is your serotonin? Like my serotonin.
Triggers, yeah. Thank you. You got it.
So I was like, okay.
But now that they have different strains, I think you can find something that is like pinpoints exactly how you want to feel. If you want to have sex while you're smoking, then you can get something that will help that along, and it'll be, it'll all just like an ice cream sandwich.
You said strands? What?
Strains.
What?
Oh, they all got different names. I've heard that they got different names, like Granddaddy Kush and Sugar Cookie, Girl Scout. There it is.
Burst.
What is that?
This is called Lemon Burst. So this is a sativa. I'm the world's worst stoner, so don't get me to explaining all the particulars. But smoking
sativas are for creatives, Cabana.
Yes, and you want to be, more on the positive side, not really like in the couch. That's when you smoke indica. If you want to be in the couch, then you smoke that. But this, you can still be functioning. This is when I work, you know what I'm saying? Because your mind is just more open to to more possibilities. It doesn't put the boxes around, the societal boxes or, the norms, how you grow up or anything. It allows you sometimes to, like when you think you're looking through a pee hole, and then that pee hole ends up opening up like this. And you can see any particular task or project that you're working on in a much broader, way. And so I'm thinking if I had something like this, maybe, I'd have some crazy sex. I might have.
Can I ask you a question, Kela?
Because I feel that there has been such an evolution of weed. So no lie, look, I'm a DOD employee. I'm not allowed to do drugs. I don't do drugs. However, I will say when I was in high school, there used to be a morning show set of dudes called the Buddha Brothers. That's who they were. That's what they represented and everything. And they were really good friends of mine. And we just happened to be at an undisclosed location, and they used to have this thing called the Buddha van. And we were chilling on the Buddha van, and it was a whole puff pass scenario. And I had never smoked ever in my life. But I did that day, because how you gonna say no to the Buddha Brothers?
Yeah.
And I tried. Took 2 or 3 puffs. For me, gone. I was asleep, gone. And I was like, why do people want to do this? I don't want to be asleep. Yeah. And then like a couple of years later, at another event, I said, okay, let's try this again, because everybody seemed to be chilling and good and everything. Let me try again. No peer pressure, just say, all right, I'll try. Again, gone. So I guess it was indica that I smoked both times that completely turned me off to weed totally. Yeah. Because I don't like the lack of control. I don't, in this day and age and even before, I don't like to be in a public space and know that I can fall asleep and not be aware. Because I'm a chick that can think through liquor. Yeah. I can think through drunk. I could not function through the weed. And I couldn't.
That's what I was going to say to Kela.
Candice.
Oh, go ahead, Candice.
Candice. On that one, Dave.
Come on, Dave. Welcome to What You Got to Say, Dave. What's going on?
I'm great. How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
That's good. I was just standing over here listening to y'all, and
it's because we put the weed symbol in the air. The weed
right
in the air. What's up? Give us your insight. Give us your insight and input.
I mean, where do we start?
Well, what we were talking about was the correlation between weed and sex. So does it give you like a higher high, or how do the two correlate, or does one take away from the other? How does it make you feel?
And don't lie, because Candice sitting right there.
Right.
No, hey, and she took notes because she read that. She wrote that down.
Oh man, listen. I am one of the most truthful and honest people you will ever meet. I promise. And I don't hold. That's probably why she wanted me to come down. What I will say is, you have to find out your balance. You know how you want to feel in the end. What sensation do you want to dominate the situation? Whether you want the high to be up there, or do you want the appeal from the sex to be up there? Well, they do make, things to help push that along, like sex sprays.
What is that?
Go ahead, brother. Hold on. Educate me.
Let me take some. What is this?
Hell yeah. What is that called?
This is clit spray. This is it's a sativa.
What?
Hold on. Dave, hold on. Before you finish, sir, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, brother. No. I could see myself getting along with you, brother.
So what is that? What is that? What is that?
So it's a sex oil. All you need is one spray. You rub it on the clit. You give it like 5 minutes, and it brings on the sensation to her that is through the roof without her even having to smoke. So she's sitting around, creaming and juicing up like the berry that she is, and I'm just ready to motherfucking eat.
I need that on his shirt.
All the way. I need it.
Damn.
And then after we've done our job, brother, we put in that work, and she feels as though, man, I'm sore. I need to go take a bath. This thing.
You got something for that?
He got an oil for that too.
Cool.
Oh, I see why you over there, Kinky Queen. I see why you over there smiling right now. Now you smiling, partner.
She got them serotonins.
Hey, she over there feeling good right now. She's like, yep, that's my man. Mm.
I am speechless.
It's amazing.
No, Cabana. Number one, you go ahead and be speechless because you asked for this to be the show.
I'm about to help
you asked for this, Cabana.
I'm about to help you out. So,
what is that, bro?
Like I said, whenever she's feeling that way, and you're like, damn, that I felt that shit, bro.
Right.
You say, nah, that's cool, baby. Run her a hot bath, and then you take these bath salts.
Okay.
Take you some bath salts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm with it.
Drop them in the water for her so that she can cool off.
Does it mix with my Epsom salt?
It's mixed with THC.
But I'm saying, if I put my Epsom salt in there for her and then put that in there, no,
you
just
don't
that.
need it. Yes, that's all.
Just that.
This is Epsom salt with THC.
Oh.
See, I asked the right questions.
You sure did.
So then, let's say.
And then there's an and then.
It's that time of the month, and she needs to cool off again. She's trying to get right.
Ooh.
You make sure she have some relief. This is all to take care of her, make sure that she feeling good. She can sit up here and do it.
She's cool, Candice, though. Why?
Oh, no. Hey, brother, no, you are speaking.
That's why
the truth,
she's
though.
so cool. She infusing THC through all pores. And don't have it.
I just want to point out that black man right there. Black men care about their black queen.
That yogurt?
What's that?
You said yogurt?
No, those are the caramels. I got the cookies over there.
I thought
that's what's up.
Gummy worm.
Candice is really living it.
Ooh, tropical punch.
Make a lot happen. And then she's not a real leaf smoker like I am, so you break out the vape pen. Make sure that she got a vape pen.
He said my woman is gonna be right, okay, for the rest of her life.
He don't ever have to say calm that ass down.
Never.
She already calm.
Just throw Candice in the bath with some shit and she
So I was listening to what y'all was saying about, the vices as far as, people need that serotonin level to be up there and always trying to find that fix, right? So there's a way to combat that.
Is this QC?
Say that again.
Know, right? We buying everything from you.
Oh man, no, I don't even sell this stuff. I just do it.
We're gonna need links. Make sure you get us links so we can post it with it.
To that clit spray.
What we did was
Kela.
Yeah.
So we got a portable sauna. You sit in that sauna, detoxify, put out the toxins, and that allows the THC and everything else in you to be released. So when you do smoke again, you're not gonna sit up there and want to smoke 2 or 3 blunts because that's gonna feel brand new every time you sit in that sauna. You can smoke before you sit in the sauna, get out, and you're gonna feel like, man, I've let all of that go. You can smoke one time after that and feel like I don't need nothing else, because it puts you in a sense that, you know, your everything is clean and you can move on from there.
Do you give vibe lessons? Like, do you work with other husbands?
Before you got it.
Wait.
Hold on a second. Kela, say that again. Say that again.
Yeah. What you say, Kela?
Ask him, does he give lessons to other husbands?
Yes. Lessons to other husbands on how to set a household like this? Because this sounds freaking amazing. Okay, you got full body THC levels going on. Baths, you have clit sprays, you have detoxifying. Like, how do you set up a whole just
clinic?
Yes.
Yeah, you actually, you really could.
Hold on,
brother.
Go ahead, Candice. We can't hear Candice.
Because I don't smoke, so that's his lane.
He figured out a way.
Right.
He had a workaround.
Right.
He figured out a way. I applaud you.
So I've been retired out of the Army for about 4 years now. And when you get out, they give you so many different medications. They give you a pill for almost everything that they think is wrong with you. And they give you all these things, they give you all of these devices, and they expect for you to function and go out here and be a productive member of society. I'm sorry.
You can't do it.
And you can't do it. You know, I have 5 kids. We got 5 little ones over there.
Bro,
and
I got 5, and I'm retired for 4 years as well from the Army.
They're twins. Oh my God.
And this is the medicine that I got.
That's crazy.
I showed them last week. I have 3 boxes full of medicine.
This is all that I could carry right now, but there's more.
Thank you.
There's so much more.
How would they do that?
Okay, you know what?
Why would they do that?
That's a whole nother show, Dizzy.
Why would you?
Next show. We're going to need David again.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show.
No.
No.
I'm going to tell you why. Because you and Greg are not the only two who has ever expressed this issue. Yeah. Which means, to me, it's more the norm than the exception. And that is a real problem where people or the government, if so, can feel you're going to come sacrifice your life for me for this many years. And then when I let you go out, I'm going to give you this bag of drugs to pacify you. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And why so much? Like, why so much? Like, that to me, looking at that,
because they give you a different pill for every ailment that you have.
Yeah, they get.
But they're making you a drug addict. Like, that's a drug addict to me.
Well, to them, that's okay. Well,
because it's legal.
The whole time I was in the Army, I was able to drink and do those pills at the same time. You know, I was making rational decisions. Man, I felt like things were just crashing. You know, at the same time, I was trying to navigate through an Army career in the medical field. So, you know, I'm sitting up
and raise your family.
Yeah, and raise a family all at the same time. So
it seems to me that the taboo is not the weed that we're talking about. It's the 50 bottles in that bag that they are assigning you when you get out of the military.
So I'm not putting all of our business out there, but I'll put it to you like this. When I was in and I was able to drink and do all of these pills, I like I said, I felt like our lives were, you know, not going down, but not where we wanted them to be. Mm-hmm. I was able to stop drinking once I started picking up that weed, because the weed feels I could still function. Like, I drive, I go to the VA, I'll be in Walmart, Home Depot, you name it. You name it, I'm there, and I've smoked before I got there, and I feel more confident, and I'm more able to speak and articulate my words better. More so being drunk and slurring and not being able to visually, you know, see what's coming ahead like I'm able to do now. You know. Wow.
I would recommend anybody who has a drinking problem to, you know, look for an alternative in THC, because it will get you over, you know.
Yeah, like we have an entire German trunk upstairs full of, you know, just liquors and wines and so many other things. And they sit right behind me every day. And I don't even think about those things. I don't even think about, let's pop a bottle and let's drink. Yeah. I don't even think about that, you know, because I felt like when I was doing that on a regular basis, I knew where my life was.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, weed and water.
Yeah.
Man, that was the best.
Yes, sir.
Water is great.
Weed and water.
I'm gonna let you try edible one day. You gonna, you know, get you.
That's what's up.
Hey, Kamana, you ain't even gonna know. She gonna give your ass a bowl of cereal and it be all the way infused.
Look, I thank y'all for this education. This is the great Scared Straight program. I praise her. I praise God for it.
He said Scared Straight.
Right.
Yes,
hey, Dave, I really appreciate you having one, making the time to be able to come and talk to us, and two, being so transparent about what's going on. I definitely want to get you on another show to dig deeper into how our vets are released. I think that really needs to be a whole subject.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Please.
You know, and just speaking on the creativity side on what you guys were talking about also, I do photography, right? So with me doing photography, I saw the change in my photography once I stopped drinking and started smoking. Not saying that the colors got brighter, but the pictures got clearer. You know?
Yeah. Your focus.
Oh man, like it almost looked like a 3D wall behind you almost, but a real background. You know, so I was able to just see the colors differently through ends. You know, being a wartime vet, all you see is death and destruction when you're over there fighting and doing all of the craziness that you have to do. So, you know, when I step behind that lens, I want to see the brightest and the most beautiful colors
you're looking for the beauty, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking for the positive.
Yeah. So you know, the weed helped calm the voices down. You know, I don't have the nightmares anymore. You know, I'm not fearful or frightful in places, and you know,
anxiety came down.
My anxiety level is extremely low compared to what it used to be.
Wow.
You know, I'm able to. I'm the stay-at-home dad. I've been the stay-at-home dad since I've been out.
Bro, you talking to the right one when you say all of this. And honestly, like, I'm still a drinker. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I don't partake like that. You know what I'm saying? But from what people have told me in the past, and just like you told me, you know, it does calm your anxiety. It does, like you said, people think it's a joke. Those voices that you're talking about, it's not crazy people talk. Let me dispel all of that.
Crazy people talk.
Everyone has a little voice in their head that talks to them. I call that your rock star. That's your God talking to you.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get overwhelmed with what that voice is telling you.
Yeah.
And if you are doing, case in point, I drink, I don't smoke, but my voices are like trying to get me to think about and calm down about some shit, or I'm mad about some shit, versus when you're smoking, you're still thinking about the same shit and you mad about it, but you're like, okay, that's the problem. What's the solution?
That's correct, because
you're
when
able to think through, you can think through things clear, and like without being angry and without the high.
Exactly.
Of your emotions.
Him break the tank.
Oh man, I was ready to fight, man. I
mean, I can only speak on it because I know. You know what I'm saying?
I was ready to throw them hands, but now that I smoked, I'm like, man, let's figure out how we can work this out together.
Right.
And you know what? While we so busy trying to fight each other, I think it's a way that we can make some money together real quick. Hold on.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. So now we're gonna turn into moving into stereotypes of in music and where it comes to drugs and music. So I know that typically, I mean, I'm a hip hop head, just in case y'all don't know. I mean, I can still rock Guns N' Roses, but I'm a hip hop head at heart. And I started to get really, more upset than anything when I started to listen to more and more newer age hip hop and started listening to so many artists start talking about using so many drugs, not weed, because to me, it's not a drug. It ain't for me, but it's not a drug. Right. But when they started talking about all the other things that they are doing, that kind of started to bother me. Like, what kind of message are we really sending? And I've seen a meme that actually said it better than anything for me was, my rappers were drug dealers. Now the new rappers, y'all are they're the drug users. Right. Where did we make this transition? How did we make that transition? And how true do you think that is? Anyway.
I think like the 2000s, the early 2000 time frame where it flipped to the drug dealers becoming the drug users. Because when you look at, I think it was like the snap movement that everybody was doing down south, and then Lil Wayne and the Hot Boys and all those guys started coming out. You know, Lil Wayne was always walking around with a cup. Everybody knew Fabo was always geeked up and all this type of stuff. So it was kind of
started to see spaceships on Bankhead.
So my opinion on it is, we are the problem, because there's that generation above us that you talk about, and now we're speaking on that generation that's junior to us that we're speaking about, right? So where do we fall? We fall right there in the middle, because we shown something that we didn't pass along. We tried to pacify them to keep them happy by saying, we're going to give them the things that we didn't have because we wasn't getting it like that. So
I agree with you. I agree with you until you said we condone it.
No,
I agreed with you until you said we condone it.
No. I didn't say we condone it. I said what we did was we started giving them things to say, we don't want you to suffer the way that we suffer. So here are some things that you can have that'll make things better for you. Instead of them saying, yeah, this is going to make my life better, they looked at it as an advantage, and they used it in a way that was not prolific, that was advantageous to their upbringing, because we showed a better way. They said, well, we can use this platform and go that way with it, because that's what we can do with it. We didn't push them to continue to climb. We just kept feeding the fire by thinking, if we continue to give, they will eventually win. And that's what I saw in the military when I was getting these kids brand new coming in from AIT, and then when I became an AIT instructor, I was seeing it firsthand coming out of basic training.
Right.
Yeah. It was a lot of entitlement.
Oh yeah. Kela.
Do you think that because you're saying that in my time rappers were drug dealers, so let's say these drug dealer rappers, they are putting out this message just about drugs, and at the same time, this is when a lot of households started to get prescribed pills, right? So you got all these people listening to rap, kids listening to rap, and their parents are actually have the pills that they're talking about in their cabinets. You know, and so now they're able to, let me sneak one of these. You know, I know what happens when mom or dad or whoever gets this little pill, they start to feel like this, they start to hear it from their friends and stuff. And so now they're taking these pills, but they're also young enough to where they're not artists yet. And then they become the artist, and now they're talking about the drugs. You know what I'm saying? So the drug dealers were supplying their parents, and now they have been sneaking from their parents and end up being drug users too.
Yeah,
so
that's quite possible.
And alcohol out of the cabinet when they, were hanging out with their.
We were younger, right?
Yeah.
But going back to what you prefer, Dave or David?
Either one.
Going back to what Dave was saying though, at the end of the day, for real, our generation, we're the middle child. We're the middle child, just like J. Cole even said with that song, Middle Child. We are the middle child. But the thing is this though, see, what we learned, we tried to pass down, but they took it their way and they ran with it. Just like we did with what our drug dealer rappers for our generation, what they was just telling us, hey, this is what I did to make money before I did music.
Right.
That's all they were doing. But we took it and now I want to be Mr. 17.5 all of a sudden. And I'm still trying to find a 9 to 5.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I agree with the middle child analogy. However, I think that we got to take it a step further. Because the reason I started off with hip hop was because that's the stereotype that's thrown out there, that we are the heavy drug users. We are the ones that are always high, always, messed up. But what we have to remember, because of course, I had to do research before this. So what we have to remember is that our parents, we are the children, at least I am. We are the children of Woodstock.
Yeah.
So our mama and daddy were out on the were out there listening to
LSD.
Right.
Come on, brother.
We're out there listening to Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and so on and so forth, getting high as well. However, it could have been weed, LSD.
It was
whatever it is, whatever their drug of choice was at that time. So my intention was not to say it started with our rap drug dealers, because it didn't start with them. It actually started way before them. But I guess what my question is, when did it become where did the stereotype come from that it was us?
Propaganda.
Hold on. We haven't heard from Cabana. Go ahead, sweetie.
Let me say this. It starts from the beginning. I'm very stubborn on some things, and one thing I'm stubborn on is people that make excuses. We as just human beings make excuses for what the world has done when we are the world. Not to coin the phrase of the song, but we are the world.
The children.
The drugs have been here since day one. Gangs have been here since day one. People have been hurting people since day one.
Right.
Slavery has been here since day one. And so we've always been the chosen race to pick, to blame, to put in the front of the gun, to put in the front of the front line. But the thing about it is, we have, unfortunately, even in our own race, this certain type of entitlement that we forget about other races. Drugs is drugs, sex is sex, religion is religion. The problem is when it comes out of our mouths and how we distribute it, is that's when racism and prejudice and all this stuff begins to happen. And so I think the picture that needs to be seen is that if we do like some races do, like some cultures, as far as let's say the Asians and Chinese, they really stick together. They stick together. They have a culture. They have a tradition. They do
every race but ours does that.
Right, and they don't let it. When it comes to us, if we look at our community, we are the ones, unfortunately, we sabotage ourselves so bad.
I gotta say this though, Cabana. We've done it before, but guess what? When we did that in America, Wall Street, before Wall Street was Wall Street, it was Black Wall Street. Why they call that shit Black Friday is because America bombed themselves. They bombed a community of Black people who were becoming successful in sticking together. When we did it the first time, you can Google this. Yeah. When we did it the first time, and we had a community of Black people doing that, working together. Their business helped that business because that business was helping this business, and all the money circulated together. I'm talking about the dollar would go through, $1 would go through at least 7 to 10 businesses before it went back to the Federal Reserve.
Right, and I know that part.
And they bombed us, bro.
But I know that part. This is the part. We know, some people don't know the history, but I understand that history. And just like we have this circle right now going amongst us, no matter what's happening, just like the CJ Madam Walker movie came out, back then, the one key factor that Dave was saying that is truly important, it is our job to keep the circle going and do not let a break happen in the circle. We will start something. we'll start something and we'll allow somebody else to finish it by breaking it up. The things that have survived through time are the things that we have not allowed the circle to be broken.
So let Dave say what he was saying, yo.
Yeah, and Kela's got a point too.
Oh, so sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
No, you good. You good, bro.
Okay. So
whenever you
sorry.
Documentary on Netflix called "The Grass Is Always Greener," it explains a lot about the origin of marijuana and how it linked to Black people and jazz music in the 1920s, 30s, and how it transcended the music and got to the point of where it is today. And it'll paint the picture as to why it is demonized and the reasons why they did what they did. It was a lot of political stuff, like DuPont. DuPont didn't want hemp paper being circulated because they were going a different route. So had hemp paper taken off, the company DuPont that makes all of your appliances and stuff like that wouldn't be where they are today, because hemp paper would have done what it needed to do, to keep the world supplied and keep it going the way that it was back then. So when, you got people lining the pockets of banks and keeping hemp paper and weed and everything out of circulation, and then you're able to tie it to us, it puts us in a category where we're linked to this really bad substance and we get crushed for it every single time.
Right.
So he's, I'm sorry, I don't know his name, Kibana. Yeah, he's right. It's been linked to us since the beginning of time of, just being a bad thing.
I think to go back to what Kibana was saying about why Asian culture is, why they seem to stick together. The Black American is somebody that's like, this is totally different, than like China, let's say Chinese, for example. They have a religion, they have, languages that they can speak. But here in America, because, people were they were kidnapped, from different countries in Africa, and then put together, not being able to communicate with each other. We don't have anything in America that ties all of us together, because we don't have a common language. It's almost like it is totally different cultures if you're going to be on the East Coast, if you're going to be down south, if you're going to be on the West Coast, where you're the furthest away from that African culture. You're very whitewashed. I'm from California, and I've gone back, towards the East and see the difference. And I will say that, growing up in California does make you very whitewashed. And so we can't come together because we don't have a commonality between the whole country that bonds us together. I often look at Jewish culture to kind of take some ideas from, or to see why are they able to be so strong, and what kinds of things do they do to help their own community. But because they have a language, they have a religion, they have something that ties them, no matter if they are born on the East Coast, West Coast, or somewhere in the Middle East. And that's the difference. And it's unfortunate that it is by design why we are all disjointed like that. Imagine if we would have spoken a language. Imagine if we would have been able to communicate with people in a way where your captors can't understand you. So they can organize, we were doing that, or rebel, or try to get out of bondage. We couldn't do that, and we still can't do that, because I speak a different language than somebody on the East Coast, and our priorities and our our foundation are going to be totally different, and mine might be more rooted in America, and what I've been raised to believe is my home and is for me, when in all actuality it was not created that way.
Right. Because to piggyback on what Kela was saying, when you look at people in like different Asian cultures that do come over to America, from what I've seen, they'll have like an entire group and they'll all come over together, or they'll come a little at a time, but all of them are putting their money into this one pot to get one business started. And then once that business gets afoot, then they put back into the business so the second person can get their business going. And everybody's working each other's business. And then once that second one gets going, they put all the money that, you know, they were given to start their business back into the pot. And then the third person does it. And so their business can become successful. And they keep that cycle going within themselves so that, you know, they're bringing everyone out. It's not that crab in the bucket mentality that a lot of people here in America have, whereas, oh, I got mine, so I'm gonna make sure you can't get yours because I don't want no competition.
Crabs don't belong in buckets, though.
Think back to, you know, Black people who, you know, were taken from their land, but when you got to America, they split the families up. So, you know, I had 4 kids, but they sold 1 kid to that family, and they sold 1 kid over there, and they took my husband and sent him over there, and, you know, they broke up the entire family. So you don't know who your relatives are. You don't know what your culture is. You don't know where you came from. And then it's like, okay, whereas, you know, they come over and they're all working together, we're not thinking the same way because we were purposely pulled apart. And so from that point to now, we're still forced apart, because then you look at the food stamp program and you look at the people that are living in low income housing. If you live in low income housing, you could not have a man in the house, because at that point you didn't need the support of the federal government to pay your rent and to help you with food stamps and stuff like that. So you couldn't have a man in the house at that point. So that
and who was on the low income list like that? It was Black women.
Black women. So that's when the whole "I'm an independent woman, I don't need no man" came from, and they ran with it. So at that point, it's like you purposely broke up the Black family, and then start throwing all our brothers in jail and started throwing all our sons in jail.
It made that big business.
It made them big business. And so that kept the prison system completely flourished. And now you're working them to the bone for pennies on the dollar or whatever. And it's still not putting the family back together. And so where we have, you know, a lot of brothers that have tried to change that narrative and are in their children's lives, you still have so many that come from that broken home that don't know anything different and aren't trying to learn anything different. So the broken mentality that they have, they're passing it down to their kids.
I want to say so much.
What you got, Kela? Come on.
I do too.
I was more angry.
I just want to say this because I think this is really good. I'm so excited about this platform, and I didn't want to lose what I wanted to say. One of the things is, you know, from this, I hope as I'm learning this, people that are watching learn this one lesson. This shows that we are to learn in order not to destroy, but to build. It's like listening is the most powerful thing that anybody can ever do. And I think one of the things that hurts us the most is we don't really listen. And there's a point that you said, Kela, that crabs do not belong in buckets. Like a one-line statement like that has sent me to the moon and back. I represent the quote church, the people that would be too religious, all this kind of stuff. And from it, I still, you know, for me, my serotonin will be the word of God. My serotonin is, I'm not worried about drugs and stuff like that, but I now understand why is it important for us to come together in these groups and listen. Because listening allows us to be educated about the humanity, not just of people, not just of humans, but of our Black culture. And I think what we have to accept is this one thing. This one thing is very important, that the odds are raised against the Black culture, but the Black culture must face these odds and say, we will not be torn down, because this is where the weak link is. Martin.
Oh my God.
Harriet Tubman, you can go all of those. But the one thing I love about it, because my dad was a civil rights leader, and he walked with Martin Luther King, is that he said there was no such thing as being scared to die. I've always said when I was young, our leaders are fading away because we have a fear to die. When you are afraid to die for something that you believe in, then it will never happen. People that are not afraid to die for what they believe in, they actually make something happen. And I think that's why we had such great, profound leadership, is because even though they didn't want to, just like Jesus, if people, those that believe in, didn't want to, you did it because there was a bigger reason. And I'm just feeling very privileged and honored that everything that y'all are talking about is allowing me to know, like, okay, if I listen more, maybe I can be the person that can actually help build a bridge for my people to win. Because now I realize the system is not for us. It is definitely against us. But we have the power to, uplift. And I didn't mean to be long-winded, but it was powerful.
The thing is, I'm taking notes because all of the tangents that we're going on are other shows that you're giving me platforms for ideas for other shows.
Big facts.
And it's crazy because I'm like, I know that we done gone off on this tangent, but it was catapulted off of how did we get this stuck with this stereotype at the end of the day, and we got here. And so what I would like to do is we gonna have another show. I'm not even gonna say.
Hey, that's why she called Dizzy the host, right?
Yeah, that's why I wrote it down. I wrote it down what not necessarily the next show, but a show needs to be, because I do feel that all of these factors that you guys are discussing is why we become the fall guy when it comes to negative stereotypes. So I'm gonna bring it back into sex, drugs, rock and roll because Google it if you don't believe me. The genre who speaks or sings about drug use more than anyone else is country.
Yeah.
I did not look, Rolling Stone magazine. Yes, that truly did a study that country music is who talks about drugs more than any other genre. It may be more subtle. I don't know. I don't listen to country like that, so maybe we don't know. But that's who does it more.
Hold on. I want to hear what Kiki got to say.
Who tells the story of Black people? Black people?
No. No, well, we don't tell our story.
White people tell the most nationalized story of us.
Exactly. And so
we don't tell our own story.
They're not going to get the word out that country music is not something that you should buy because they talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They talk about drugs the most. They're not going to tell you not to do that. The majority is not going to, they're going to highlight the negatives of the minority so that they can stay within power. And so you're not going to get that narration that, country music is, all they do is talk about drugs. They're not going to point that out. How can Carrie, well, I don't even know any country artists. I'm not going to put it on anybody, but whoever.
Hold on, but why was Carrie the name you came with, though?
I don't know.
Okay. Carrie Underwood?
Yes. It's not Carrie Underwood, that's why.
I just want to know if she was like Carrie. I don't know.
I mean, at least she didn't say Karen or,
I don't know if she talks about drugs and music, but I'm just saying like that's not going to be the narrative. They can't they're not going to lock up those young country kids, who listen to country music and do drugs because
the sheriff know they daddy
up at an alarming rate. They're selling drugs as well, in their towns. The same things are going on through every single community. However, because I feel like because we are probably the biggest competition to band together and are able to, create something for ourselves that won't be good for mainstream money. Because if our money is circulating within our community, then it's not circulating in the large
community.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, that goes back to what Candice said earlier too, though.
Right. It
goes right back to that.
Exactly. Look, I'm sure she's already read it, but Miss Candice, and all of y'all, if y'all haven't read it, if you don't, I got the copy. A real bomb book that explained in dire detail the system with food stamps and welfare and so on and so forth. Got a book called Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper, and there's a whole chapter called Silent Weapons in a Quiet War.
And they tried to shut him down.
They killed him. They killed him.
In the end, yes.
But that book, first off, is amazing. But
it's scary if you actually pay attention. It's kind of scary though.
It is scary, but there's a whole chapter, and we can talk about, again, that's a whole other show, but there is a whole chapter talking about the exact way the system was set up, why it was set up that way, and actually how it ties into recruitment into the military. So we will talk about that on the next show, but we have got to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen. So
we're wrapping up.
We got to. So we hit sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We hit the myths and reality about sex. We hit about the taboos with drugs, and I think found out what the real taboo is. And then also stereotypes when it comes to why we feel we are the fall guy when it comes to drugs and music, or being the fall guy. So once around the room, and then we gonna hit it up. KB, what you got?
I would like to say to everybody, everything is not what it seems. Make sure you take time to listen to one another, love each other, and learn how to grow with each other, because we can build together, become one body and one people.
That's what's up. Tyrone Greggory?
I want to go last.
You next on the screen. You got to go next.
Okay.
Selfishness.
Well, listen. My last 2 cents. At the end of the day, when it comes to sex, drugs, and rock and roll, as our topic was, they all link in, but at the end of the day, like Cabana said, it's all about your balance. You have to balance your life and your business life, your personal life, and your recreational life. You got to do that. There's 3 sides to every story. It's the truth, and it's what she's saying, it's what he's saying.
Right.
You got to balance these things. When it comes down to sex, everybody has their own preferences. We talked about everything from masturbation to whatever. Some people out here are poly. They like multiple people in their shit. I'm cool. There's so many things with that. And when it comes to that music and the correlation of the drugs and the sex, we have to learn to come together more and understand that through the music that we're putting out. See, we used to talk about love in music. We used to talk about our heartache. We used to talk about empowering each other. But now, we as a people have diluted our music down to just drugs, sex, money.
We don't control any.
We don't even have an R&B. We don't even have a true R&B anymore.
We do. We just don't control.
It's just not on mainstream. That's a whole other
conversation. No. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Go ahead and
go download Deaf to Mindless music.
Please believe.
Go get my album. Go get my album.
Go get that album.
Yeah.
But we're not out there the way we should be with it anymore.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And
I agree
it's
too.
Healing. But that's the problem. They don't want us to self-heal.
Yeah, agree.
And at the end of the day, I just want to say, all you got to do is be you and be strong within you. If you can be strong within you, you can make it through anything. But always understand, grab your brother, grab your sister, bring them in, and we can all work together.
Come with it, Yoda. Come with it. Come with it, Yoda.
Come on,
Candice, what you got, Candice?
Come on, Jedi.
What you got, Candice?
Everybody hit the nails on the head today. To piggyback on what Kebana was saying about listening, when you were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. Give your ears the chance that you give your mouth. So if you pay attention to what people are saying, you'll get a better understanding of what you need to do by either learning from their mistakes of things that you've seen them do and you've heard them discuss, or you'll pay attention to what they're saying and be like, all right, your words don't match up with your actions. Right? Yeah. Be this way because I don't need to be a part of that. So you have to come to that own conclusion within yourself. You may have to learn to distance yourself from people based off of, what you've been around with them and things you guys have experienced in relation to sex, drugs, rock and roll. All right, you're in a relationship with somebody and you didn't like that type of sex. All right, you got to move on and do something different. Or, you know, they were being influenced by the type of music that you guys were listening to. And so that may take you down a negative downturn and you didn't want to be a part of that anymore. So whatever it is, you know, that you, whatever conclusion you come to within yourself, stick with it and, you know, come to that conclusion and be certain in what you're doing and be confident in it. Be like, nah, I don't like that shit. I don't want to do it no more. I'm going to do this. Okay. But be confident in yourself when you're doing it. And that is most definitely going to take you to the next level. Like, look for the bright side in things. There's always a bright side. Yeah, a lot of stuff is messed up right now and things aren't great for everyone, but it's not going to last forever. Things will change. And so look for the bright side, try to be optimistic, and look for the positive in everything.
I feel you. And Kela.
I would just like to say, y'all are amazing. This was such a great conversation today. Y'all got my heart going, you know, talking about Black people, Black love, sex, drugs, you know, music, all great topics. I would just have to say, look within yourself, sometimes for the answers. You don't always need somebody else's answers on what it is that you want to do. Be true to yourself and always tell a positive story to yourself. That voice that Cabana was talking about, you know, that was you, or was that Greg who was talking?
It was both of us.
Yeah, the voice that speaks to you in your head, that's the story that you're telling yourself. Try to combat any negative story that you're telling yourself with a positive one. Because I can't say that you won't ever get, you know, tell yourself negative things, but try to combat that with a positive thought.
All right. Okay, so for me, again, we decided to talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I definitely had fun on this conversation. Too many laughs, but a whole lot of serious items were hit on. I will say, as far as sex, do what you do. If it feels good, then continue. If it doesn't, then stop. It ain't that hard.
Legal,
yeah, and legal. Yeah, definitely. If it doesn't, then stop. As far as drugs, same mantra. If it's something you want to do, then do it. If you don't, then don't. If it's illegal, don't get caught. And the rock and roll piece, I think rock and roll is music as a whole, not just rock and roll, because I listen to everything but country. It just depends on what motivation, what soundtrack I need for the day. So trust and believe there's going to be some of the mornings I wake up and I want to listen to Beyonce. It's going to be some mornings I wake up, I'm going to want to listen to Back That Ass Up. There's going to be some mornings I woke up, I'm going to want to listen to The Box by Baby. And there's some days I'm going to wake up and I need to be in a love place and listen to Cabana's album. And there's some days, which is most days, that I need to be a hustler and I'm listening to Hova. So regardless, to me, that's the true explanation of balance. Be who you want to be when you need to be that person. And it ain't always going to be the right song. It's all right. Just change the channel. That's all it takes. So we are wrapping up.
Don't judge. Don't judge.
Don't judge. That's right. That's right.
I have one question.
From me and all my co-hosts here at What You Got to Say, see you later.